Welcome to the inaugural Uzbekistan Unlocked, the YouTube channel for opening up Uzbekistan in the English language. My name's Peter Margits. I'm with Nurzod and Hakan, and we're going to do the first podcast today. And here we go. Most businesses are missing one of the biggest opportunities in the world right now, Uzbekistan. The fastest growing economy in Central Asia, a young skilled labour force, free economic zones, and a government who actively wants your business. I'm Peter Margits from Uzbekistan Business Consultants. We help investors and businesses enter the market, company incorporation, and finding a suitable business partner, business to government, ensuring your investment is safe by our strict due diligence processes. If you're serious about investing in Central Asia, contact us at UBC or on our Telegram handle below.
Assalomu alaykum hurmatli do'stlar. O'zbek podkastini navbatdagi soniga xush kelibsizlar. Sizlar bilan Nurzod. Bugungi bizning mehmonlarimiz ikkalovligi ham angliyalik biznesmenlar. Biri Peter Margits, biri Hakan Aja. Eng qizig'i ularni ikkalovligini ham onalari turk, ya'ni Britaniya va turkiyalik insonlarni mana shunaqa farzandlarini bugun bular bilan suhbat qilamiz. Hakan, Peter, welcome to Uzbek Podcast and Uzbekistan Unlocked.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Guys, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Peter, thank you for organizing all this. With Peter, we always have different ideas. We always talk to each other. Our business is different. We never helped each other or worked together, but we were good friends for some reason. I think it's because he's a good guy. Maybe I'm a good guy.
Yeah,
so, that's why we always in connections. Hakan, welcome to Toshkent.
Thank you.
I know your effort is very big. You are one of big parts of Uzbekistan because people don't know a lot of things. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Sure.
You have built the architectural part, the plan of the third biggest city plan in the world. Is that right? Is it third biggest?
I'm not sure if it's the third. It could very well be the biggest potentially. It's very ambitious. What President Mirziyoyev is planning. Yep. Alongside his government and the people. It could be one of the biggest. I'm not sure if it's specifically the third, but it's certainly one of the largest, if not the largest, master plan that I've personally drawn in my career.
Yep. And it's New Toshkent project, right?
Yes, it's called Yangi Toshkent.
Yangi Toshkent
in Uzbek, but New Toshkent in English.
Yangi Toshkent loyihasini eng katta arxitektori, gen planni chizgan odam Hakan bo'ladilar. Hozir sizlar bilan qanday bu proyektni olganlari, bu proyektgacha bo'lgan hayot yo'llarini ular bilan suhbatlashib bilib olamiz.
Yes,
thank you.
Exactly.
Shu bilan birga biz bu proyektni xalqimizga, davlatimizga, millatimizga qanday foyda olib keladi? O'zi oddiy qilib aytganda xalq tilida bizga nima keragi bor degan savollarga biz to'g'ri javob berishga harakat qilamiz. So during the previous president Islom Karimov, we had one thing which was kinda good and bad. Good for local people who lived in Tashkent, bad for those who live abroad outside of Tashkent, but they want to live in Tashkent because it's the most developed part of the Uzbekistan. So there was a rule: if you were born outside of Tashkent, it was nearly impossible to 90% of the population to live, study. Well, they could study, but they couldn't stay in Tashkent, but because there was a registration thing. Like, if you want to live in Tashkent, you have to work in a high government job, or you have to somehow get get connections, right, and get registered. Mm-hmm. Most of the people couldn't live in Tashkent. They could stay for some periods, but eventually police could stop them and basically deport them from the capital. But when Mirziyoyev came, he changed this rule. Now, anybody who wants to live, they can live in Tashkent, which led to overcrowded population. We have nearly 4 million people in Tashkent. Pollution is bad. We didn't do a big constructions for last 30 years. New president came, he opened up the opportunities, he opened up for the world. He said, look guys, we didn't build a lot of things, we have to start building it. But the Tashkent, the current Tashkent, old Tashkent, I would say, is designed for, I think, 2 million or maybe 1.5 million people. That's where all the traffic come. That's where density became very high. So there was an idea, you have to overload somehow. You have to take, you have to build something, otherwise it will be crowded too much, and the pollution level is so high. And there is no land in Tashkent, almost no land in Tashkent to build something big now. And that's what led to build this project. So I would say having a new president, having a vision, having those problems, traffic problems, pollution problems, infrastructure problems, led to do big project like Yangi Toshkent.
You're completely right. So everything you've said, completely accurate. And actually it's where I can sort of start talking about the project to some extent. Because I think, firstly, the Uzbek people, I would say, should take a great pride in the president and in his plans, because, look, it's not to be taken for granted. It's not that every city decides to make expansion plans when the population is growing. Yeah. There's massive examples of overpopulation, overcrowding in cities where a government hasn't done anything. And then it's led to favelas, it's led to gecekondu in Turkey, it's led to shanty towns, So these are all examples of, in Istanbul, something like half the population of Greater Istanbul is in unauthorized housing, which is because the growth wasn't planned, So the current government is doing everything it can to sort of, mitigate that and fix that problem. But the fact that President Mirziyoyev and the current Uzbek government is saying, look, before we have these problems, let's plan for that growth. So, there's this kind of duality, or this kind of contradiction that often happens, where people say, oh, look, why are we developing? Why are we making the city so big? Why are we developing on this farmland east of the Chirchik River? And, some people, not many, but some may complain and say, why are we doing this? On the other hand, if you don't do it, and suddenly you have these problems of what we call city sprawl in English, where the city sprawls into the surroundings without planned growth. Because in the end, if people need to live somewhere, they'll create houses with or without the permission, And then when that sprawl happens, people say, why didn't we plan for the growth? So I think it's, in my opinion, as a city planner, as an architect, of course, I'm someone who is pro-development, and I'm happy to say that, because ultimately most populations in most countries are growing, and in order to house those people, you should plan for the growth. And if you don't, people will live where they want to live, and then you have a much bigger problem, because then you actually have to get rid of that housing, demolish, decant, rebuild, regenerate. So I think what's happening here is a fantastic example of sort of planning for growth. And so Yangi Toshkent is something that I take great pride in as well. As a business, we won the project through a competition in 2023.
How hard was it?
Winning the competition?
Winning, or who was the competitors?
Mm-hmm.
And were you thinking that you will have a chance? How? Because it's a big project.
Yeah.
I saw on your podcast that a lot of projects end up not being realized.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
What was your thoughts about New Toshkent? Did you have a feeling that you will win this, you will get this, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was out for an international, what's called sort of invitation only kind of competition, where I think 5 or 6 companies were invited, based on reputation, based on kind of, I believe, a bidding process at the start. We were also invited, and when you're invited for such a large project, such a big opportunity, you can't say no, you have to go for it. So I put most of my team on the project when we got the invitation. We had 8 weeks, and 8 weeks to kind of pitch our concept.
Okay.
So we went for it. Within about 4 weeks, we had pretty much developed the idea, and then the second 4 weeks, we developed all of the graphic outputs and the videos and things like that. We submitted it, and then we waited. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, I got a message from one of the government guys saying, congrats, you're going to get some good news.
Good.
For large-scale projects like this, and part of the reason I called the business Crossworks in the first place is because they require cross-disciplinary effort. Cross-disciplinary works would have been a very long name for a business, so I called it Crossworks. But that cross-disciplinarity is essential, because when you're dealing with a big new city, or any master plan really of any scale, you're not just doing architecture and urban design. You're doing engineering, which includes utilities, transportation. You're dealing with landscape design, cost consultancy, what is the cost per square meter and how do we deal with that? And also economic forecasting, quite important as well. So we had some really talented economic forecasting experts who sort of predict, based on statistics and history, what should be the certain land use mix and the population mix for the city. And a few others as well. We had some people looking at the branding, the kind of Yangi Toshkent symbol that was done by a local branding firm, and a few other skills as well in there. So it was a big team. So we had to put the team together. We got sign off, and then we effectively put the contract together with the government. And that was it. And the team was set. And then we had to develop the concept master plan based on our pre-concept. It's called pre-concept vision that we put to the competition. So we developed the concept for the whole site, and then Mr. Adilov, who's the lead of the project, he's the deputy minister of construction, and it's he is in charge. He's
What's
the chef.
His name?
Davranjon Adilov.
Davranjon Adilov.
After that initial concept, we delivered the detailed master plan, which is where you start drawing the kind of the building footprints,
Yes.
And then there was a second sort of success that came after that. And he's an exceptional client. He's been really great. I met with him just yesterday on site.
Good.
And it's been a really great partnership. Great projects aren't just done by great designers. You also need great clients as well. Because the master plan process went very well, the client asked us, look, could we deliver some architectural guidelines? My thesis at university, when I was in Bristol, in the west of England, my thesis at the end of my bachelor's was actually about how Ataturk had defined or redefined an architectural language for Ankara at the turn of the Ottoman Empire becoming the Republic of Turkey in 1923. When he became the president. And he brought lots of architects from Europe, Bruno Taut, Ernst Egli, a few others. And he brought in the European talent into Turkey and said, look, let us define a new architecture that can show us as a modern nation state to the world. No longer the Ottoman Empire, now the Republic of Turkey. And with that, defined this beautiful, new, strange, but nationalistic kind of architecture that still exists if you go to Ankara, especially with the civic buildings. So having defined that, he then, obviously over the next 15 years, developed kind of a modern nation state for Turkey.
Yeah.
And I immediately saw the parallel, where suddenly a president in Uzbekistan is asking us to define the architecture for a new city.
Yes.
So I suppose the reason I explain all this, and sorry if it's boring for any of the listeners, is because we, specifically our firm and myself, take this project very seriously and very much to heart. Like it's something that comes from deep. It's not just a project. So we define those architectural guidelines for the city, 300-page document covering scale, articulation, openings, massing, materiality. And those have been now given to developers who are taking sites in New Tashkent and basically looking at our architectural guidelines and saying, okay, we need to kind of match this look and feel. Now, I didn't write those architectural guidelines on my own in a room, in a cupboard, I wrote them with the directorate of New Tashkent, the client. Said Azim Sharipov, we should mention him. He's a PhD architect, urban designer, working in the directorate of New Tashkent. He's the kind of the lead urban planner. So we give him our work, and he makes sure it works, according to local rules and the local context and culture. So he was very, very, very useful on the project for us, and worked with him, and obviously Mr. Adilov and his team. So we kind of wrote these and we gave them, and then that was it really. And from that moment on, you could just see the construction take off. So if you go to the site now, if anyone drives over there, you can see there's buildings going up.
There is. I saw.
It's really rapid construction. So I could talk for hours, but this is a subject that I love passionately, and I think as Uzbekistan, as people in Uzbekistan, it's a very exciting project, and I think should be very much supported. So
I don't know if you know or not, but since your mom is Turkish, historically, Turkish people originally moved from Khwarezm, from Uzbekistan area, to Turkey, and they built Ottoman Empire.
All right, fantastic.
And basically, from your mom's side, after so many generations, one half Turkish guy building a architectural once the architecture of one city, new best city probably for coming 1,000 years, I don't know, in Uzbekistan, in the country where his mom's side generation was,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't know if you knew that or not, but I am very proud that you have British and Turkish blood, and after 1 day, you have to. I think you have to. That's one of the reasons why you have to be proud, because your ancestors lived in this country from your mom's side, and you came back and you did a great project.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
That's a big thing.
Definitely.
But it's very important though, just to also just mention that, as I said, it's a huge team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
a teamwork.
Of course. That's very
yes.
nice of you to say about me. But there's such a big team behind me, not just at Crossworks, but at Burahapol, the Gillespie's, all these different firms that were helping us on the project, and on the client side, a huge team in the building Uzbeks working on the project.
And I tell you, it's a big teamwork. There is big figures in that teams, and that's one of yours. Like I said, our president, he let the people live in Tashkent. He let the people come to Tashkent, work freely, live here, which led to overcrowding. That's normal. It's everywhere. It's in big cities built like that. But he's the guy who's now preventing to be too overcrowded. We don't have too much traffic spikes in Istanbul or in I don't know, Moscow, but the city was designed for 2 million people. We have a highway-like streets, but we don't have a fully highways in the city. So it's nearly impossible to build highways in the city because we don't have space.
And you're quite lucky as well, because actually the siting of the city, is Uzbekistan is the only double landlocked country in the world, right?
Yes.
Besides Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, that just means that any neighboring country to Uzbekistan also doesn't have the sea. So you have to go two countries to get to the sea.
Yes.
So you're right in the middle. Of course, everyone knows where their country is, but for anyone who isn't Uzbek, you're right in the middle of the Central Asian plain, and so you have a huge amount of land around you, and there's no mountains except, in Sharvak if you go north, but around Tashkent, it's relatively flat.
Yeah.
So of course you should plan for this growth, because in some cities like Rio, to be fair to Rio de Janeiro, they do have favelas. And, part of the reason is because the city is so confined. It's got the coast and then it's got these mountains.
Yes.
And so, of course, the government should have planned for growth, 100 years ago, but they didn't. And so all the favelas have gone up the mountains, and it's constrained. The city can't really grow. Whereas you guys are quite lucky because you've got all this land.
Yes.
Of course, you need to protect the existing settlements and villages, which we've done, on the other side of the Churchik. Of course, there's irrigation channels that you need to redirect and be careful with the infrastructure. But ultimately, it's farmland, and farmland can be shifted. Of course it can. It's not a mountain, It's something that can be negotiated and moved for potentially better land or whatever, or somewhere else. There are going to be many different negotiations that have to happen. But ultimately, it is for the greater good. And I think that, Uzbekistan is kind of showing, in many ways, as a benchmark to other countries, that this is how it can be done, and how it can be done fairly, democratically. And I think it's a great project. So.
I think it was interesting that you were saying we haven't built highways yet in the city. Yeah. And actually, I put it over to Hakan, but probably people are now reducing the density of the traffic in cities, and especially in Europe. Yeah. And so, what's the vision in Uzbekistan to get the people off the roads and get this pollution level down? Yeah,
look, it's a really good question. So when it comes to traffic and mobility, we always say that you have to design for today but plan for tomorrow. Again, I'm trying to avoid cliches here, but it's something that is really important, that we can't just assume that there are some projects across the world where it's very futuristic, which is important, but you still have to kind of build for what's happening today. We don't have flying cars right now, We might do in 30 years, and we should think about how that's going to change the sort of morphology of our cities, the shape and design of our cities. But right now, people use cars. So yes, of course, we need to draw roads, and quite wide roads, to enable another 2.5 million on the other side of the Churchik to utilize the old city, and for there to be good flows of traffic. But equally, Mr. Adilov came up with some pretty cool ideas, and as I said, great client came to the table with very interesting ideas. One of his ideas, I just went to see it yesterday, was where you have these big roundabouts, you have these huge junctions, and there'll be one called Yangi Toshkent junction, and there'll be others with other names. And usually, if you don't design them well, they can be what we would refer to as like a blight, or a point of severance in the city, where you're kind of cutting two sides of the city apart because you've got this huge, ugly roundabout. In the case of Yangi Toshkent, we actually thought a lot about that. These are the kinds of important subjects that we didn't just overlook. Just there's going to be roundabouts. What are you going to do? As you approach with a car, you actually come off onto these service roads, and they go down under the roundabout. And under the roundabout, you'll have, and this comes to your point, Peter, you'll have EV charging points, electric vehicle charging. You get out, and he'll have shops underground and on top, where you can go to the barber, get your hair cut, do your laundry, any number of things, go shopping. And then once you've finished your half an hour, 1 hour task, you come back, your car's charged, you drive out. This is being done under a roundabout, so usually, it's a dead zone, and he's actually utilizing this land, which is very, very intelligent, because actually, when we do the mathematics of city design, we're always trying to work out in a 1 hectare, plot of land. In this case, it's 25,000 hectares. It's a much bigger site. What percentage of that land is going to infrastructure? What percentage is going to housing? Commercial uses, community uses, cultural uses? What percentage is going to green space, roads? And so we usually work these things out, and then you have these percentages, and you go, are we making efficient use of this land? And if not, clients will say, come on, let's work a bit harder, reduce the infrastructure, increase the development land. And we play these games to get to that balance. And that kind of forms the structure of the city. So you can imagine a roundabout is usually dead space. It's infrastructure. It's just money that the government would put down and get nothing back. Why can't we turn that roundabout into a revenue generator for the city?
Exactly.
I hope that kind of answers what you were
What about public transport?
Yeah, there's going to be metro lines going through it as well. So the metro from Toshkent is going to be extended into Yangi Toshkent and then connected. And that was one of the reasons we won the competition as well, is because we were connecting the infrastructure into the new city.
Great.
So we've got these diagrams that show, it almost looks like Yangi Toshkent has always been there, because the roads and the metro connects perfectly round. Like there's no disjointedness to it. So there will be metro extended. They've made that commitment since the start.
Nice.
And local bus services, potentially, maybe even, who knows, one day there might be tram systems and things like that. We did propose these, but ultimately it is going to depend on cost. And, the government is going to be delivering a lot of the infrastructure, but at the same time, they need to create partnerships with private business as well to say, maybe with transportation companies to come in. So these are things that will come out in the wash, as we say, and we'll see.
So when you take this type of a massive project, is it usually you just finish the project and then wash your hands and go, or do you support them for some time?
Yeah, so we're still involved now,
Okay.
which is great. Like I said yesterday, I was with Mr. Adilov and with Said Azim, going around the site and seeing these underground EV charging points. And luckily on this one, because we've, I think, done a decent job, they've kept us going.
Good.
And right now we're updating the master plan. Good. So master plans are never sort of fixed in stone, they're never static. In the past, let's say 10, 20 years ago, you would print these things on an A3 report, typically, like this landscape. And you would give it to the client like a gift. Generally what would happen, and then 5 years later, they'd remaster plan it and recommission it. And then someone else would draw it. So I just did a post yesterday on my socials, where I'm on site, and I wrote there that, many of our projects, master planning projects, stay on paper. You sort of draw them. Thank you. You draw them and they stay here, and you never see it come to fruition. And that's just something you deal with as an architect, but even more so as a city planner, because these projects are so ambitious that often they stay on paper. In the case of Yangi Toshkent, it's happening. It's being built, and every day the master plan is having little adjustments made to it for many reasons, constraints and things like that. And so as these adjustments happen, we need to reflect those adjustments in the plan. So we work with the government still once every few months to update things and give it back to them.
How long it's going to go for?
These updates will be forever. Ultimately, a master plan is a living thing. And so we don't just put them in a report anymore and stick them on a shelf. Now we created a digital portal, so it's online for the client's team to look at. It's connected with an API link to GIS, Geographic Information System, where the master plan sits on the world in a digital platform.
I looked over the video that there is a districts, I think, right? How many districts in Yangi Toshkent? I think
overall, like the whole master plan. It was about 8 districts originally.
Districts.
I think now phase 1 takes up about two of those districts. So there's a few more.
Phase 1 will start from the part that is close to Tashkent, obviously, right?
Yeah, in the north. Yeah, it connects to the near to the where those stadiums are.
You can actually see.
I saw
already started.
Just when you go past kayaks, right there.
And then it will be very interesting for Uzbek nation if we compare this city when it will be built. I know it has a Uzbek cultural accent in the project, since it's been built in Uzbekistan. But if you compare this city with other cities in the world, which city will be by the vibe of it or feeling of it, will be closer to new Tashkent.
What I've always said on this project for the last 3 years is that this will be the Copenhagen of Central Asia, which is that's a big statement, or the Amsterdam even, but that's a different typology altogether. But the fact that we have canals running through the city, that was one of my main concepts when pitched for the project. That, by the way, where the canals came from, it's a very discrete thing, but right now it's farmland. And if you go to the site, I'm sure most Uzbeks haven't been there, because why would you go to a farm, right? Unless you're a farmer. There are irrigation channels running through the land.
Yes.
So draining the land and also providing water for the plants. And there are these little concrete channels that run, and you can't really see them. If you zoom in on Google Earth, you can see these really thin things. And that was where the concept came from. I thought, well, where's this water coming from, or where's it going? And so we did a little analysis of the site, and we could see that the northeast was a couple of meters higher than the southwest. Because obviously it's coming from Charbak, right? And it's coming all the way down, north to south. And then it splits just above Tashkent and becomes the Karasu, and then the Chirchik. And then the Karasu sort of disappears, and the Chirchik continues. It's a strong, powerful river. And so the water, I thought, why don't we just continue these irrigation channels, but turn them into canals? And with a bit of engineering advice, we could see that this would work very well. There might be some damming in some parts, but certainly it will create this amenity for the people. So, like I said, it's a landlocked country, so there's no coastline, but you can make the similar kind of amenity for people with a canal. Like in London, we have the Thames, and it provides a huge amenity for people all the way from Sunbury and Richmond all the way through into central London and beyond. It's a key asset of the city, without which there would be no London. So we wanted to use that water because, for me, Tashkent is a city of water. You have the Salar Canal in existing Tashkent running through, where we did a project a few years ago. And so water
is it Salar Canal? Is it Anhor? I think it's
I think so. Yeah.
Anhor, yes.
And so that's for me a very big feature of the city is the water.
So how many canals we have in the city? I saw there was quite few. There is one. So Chirchik is in the middle, I think, right?
Chirchik is the river going straight through. Yeah, the existing river.
It's gonna be in the middle of the Yangi Toshkent, I think. Is it?
So the Chirchik is actually going to be between Tashkent and Yangi Toshkent.
Okay.
So in the end, because the city has a very interesting morphology, like a form, Tashkent. It's that it sits on one side of a river. There's very few cities that do that in the world, especially big ones. I can only think of a couple, but of this scale, it's the only one of this size that's sort of one-sided. It's almost like you're on a coast, but you're just facing the Chirchik. It's interesting, and obviously that's because the east side is all farmland, and it's been retained that way. So now what you guys, I say you guys because it's your city. What you're doing is you're effectively extending and connecting around and completing the circle of Tashkent, and then Chirchik will be in the middle. As it should be. The river, this big, powerful river, should go through the middle of the city, not from the edge of the city, So in the end, I hope that what will happen, I know what will happen in the future is that river will be more like the Thames. Because once you have development on both sides, suddenly it reactivates your biggest natural asset, which at the moment, if you go to the Chirchik River, most people go there, it's like, it's a big piece of infrastructure. It's concrete, it's cold, there's nothing really next to it. But imagine that completely transformed one day, where it has stepping down, like the Thames, restaurants, cafes. It could be beautiful. But in order to do that, you need to make that land more valuable to attract investment, to attract retail and commerce. So if Yangi Toshkent is effectively going to turn the Chirchik into a real great place, to be. So no, I think probably Copenhagen, I would hope, or something like that along those lines. Maybe with the life of London, the beauty of Copenhagen.
Yangi Toshkent also have a second name. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to be Green City, because 30% of the city will be parks or green.
That's great. Is that common knowledge? That's great, because it's true. It's 28%. So yeah, it's about 30% of the land is. I'm glad you know that figure.
I asked ChatGPT and decided
they found it from one of our presentations somewhere. It's about 30%, about a third of the site is green space, which is it's a big deal, by the way. So the World Health Organization, WHO, they say that they have these standards for the livability of cities, what's a good thing, what's a bad thing, statistics. And they say 9 square meters of green space per person is considered good.
ChatGPT told me that it's 30 square meters per person.
Yeah, exactly. It's huge, right?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah. And that's actually one of the reasons, because the builders, the construction companies, they've been forced to take out a lot of trees in Toshkent, in old Toshkent, which was making the local people unhappy. Always it makes unhappy. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's really good that the new government is considering that. They could have, if they would make the project smaller, less, parks, it could have worked as well. But no, they're considering that. Why? Because they're considering the feeling of the nation, I think, and since you don't have a lot of, place to build in Tashkent, they want to save, I think, the parks that we have, and let's build the new city. Just leave the old Tashkent alone. Let's bring down the density. Let's bring the city, because in Uzbekistan every year there is 1 million people adding into a population. It's one of the highest the population's growing countries in the world. And having a green city, I think it's really good, and they will be implementing the not only the trees or parks, the cars as well, the electric cars. What our president did when he came, he did 0 taxes for if you bring a electric car. We had a big car making factory, which is Chevrolet. You still see a lot of cars in it. He sacrificed that business. It was a big business. It was a government business. They were controlling. It was a monopoly of car business. He said, look, I'm okay with it if the factory dies, but only if the green cars will come. So he's taking care of, and it's a good thing that in this big project, that Green City, having a second name, Green City, is very, very impressive. I think
it's kind of a bit of branding, but it's got truth behind it.
Yeah,
because it actually does, as we say, statistically, is going to be a very green city, and that's great, because whenever people ask me in London or in Riyadh or wherever I might be, they say, Uzbekistan, what's it like? What's Tashkent like? Because it will be one day somewhere where everyone has visited, but right now it's still a bit more on the frontier, we could say. They always ask, what's it like? And the first thing I always say is the people are amazing, and it's so green. That's always the thing, because I can always picture white buildings with green, with trees, and that's exactly the vision that this client is going to have in Yangi Toshkent. It will have that same feeling: water, trees, white and other colors of buildings, but it's gonna have that feel, that Uzbekistan or Tashkent feel to it, for sure.
I saw 3 types of the categories of the area. First was lessly, it's like people where live, less dense part of it, and then there was like kind of medium part of it, and then there was very dense where the skyscrapers.
Absolutely, so this is basically what we call transects. It's just a term. There's a natural transect of the countryside. Imagine, and it goes from the ocean through the beaches, through the kind of forests, then up to the mountains, and you can imagine this section, and this is a natural transect. Well, you have the same transect in a city, and it's an urban transect. And it goes from a park to a villa to a townhouse, to a large apartment, to a tower, you know, and then you have like special districts that are different things, like logistics parks and warehousing and data centers. You know, these are kind of, let's say, a little bit outside of that transect, but they have important critical infrastructure uses.
And there is government.
And there's government, civic areas and cultural zones. And so we've kind of broken up that transect into these, not land uses, but it's a mix of land use with density, with character, you know, and so we define this as a transect. And this is a kind of a modern way of looking at city planning. You know, if you go to the 60s, it was called zoning.
Zoning.
You know, and that's not great. That's where you would say this area is all residential. This area is industry. This area is retail. And what do you end up with? You end up with these big box retail parks with car parking around them, one place. Then over here, a big logistics park where no one goes. And over here, some residential, not enough schools, not enough clinics, no shops. And you end up zoning people. Transect-based planning is much better, where it's all based on a mix of uses. And that's what we've done in Yangi Toshkent. It's all mixed. It's like a bit of retail with residential, with schools. It's a mix.
So
you know,
when you guys design the city, right, like to the architecture of the city, do you guys also do the utilities as well? Like
of course.
Where electricity will come from?
Absolutely.
How many watts or how many electrical stations there will be? Where the sewage will go, etc. Did you guys consider that as well?
It's been designed. It's
been designed.
Okay. So a critical part of master planning at this scale, at this stage, you know, a detailed master plan stage, is the infrastructure design.
Did you meet the president?
Not yet, unfortunately.
Not yet.
I would love to. I hope one day I have the opportunity. Mr. Adilov obviously naturally presents the project to President Mirziyoyev, and you know, I'm ultimately a consultant, so you don't usually get to meet, you know, the head of state yourself.
Maybe one day, you never know.
I would love to. If he ever listens to a clip of this, then I would love to meet him.
Good,
you know?
good.
We've got this new emerging city that you've designed, and a new business district. How's that going to affect the old city, and what changes can you see that need to be made to the old city to rejuvenate the city?
Yeah, so actually that's a really good point, Peter. So the government is, whilst it's got Yangi Toshkent going on, which is sort of my responsibility as a designer, there are others who are now doing a lot of work on the existing. As I said, it's not just me doing Yangi Toshkent, there's others involved in our team, but also Tashkent as a whole. There are people working on the existing city as well, particularly the Hokimat, you know, the local, what we call the directorate, and the local planning office as well, the kind of local planning authority of Tashkent. So they have designers, advisors, planners working with them specifically on updating and making changes to existing Tashkent. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see the new and the old elevate, and in 10, 20 years, it'll be a very new, a very different city, a much improved city, I would say.
We can see the shoots growing now there from the new site. When are we going to see some substantial completed districts?
So if you go there now, and it's open to the public, I mean, I wouldn't suggest everyone just drives there randomly because it's still a construction site and there are areas you can't get into. But ultimately, a lot of it, there are some public roads now where taxis can drive through. So that area, there's one area of phase 1 that I went to yesterday, and the buildings have topped out, meaning they've reached their highest point, and now they need to be clad, and the facades need to be put on and the internals need to be done. So yeah, I think some of the first buildings will finish next year.
Okay.
And good. I'm not sure when people will move in, but it's fast. So
they will move in, I think. I already know that they're selling really well. They're actually selling really high price than expected, and a lot of people buying it is because the part that started is going to be closer to Tashkent, old Tashkent. They're starting from the closest part of Tashkent, I would say, right? So it will be economically more profitable if you buy now than after when they finish.
Absolutely.
Because the value, you have a chance of buying it cheaper in the beginning than when the project is almost done, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Uzbekistan, when you have a big nation like Uzbekistan, you know, it's going to be over 40 million people soon. The government basically wants to build a little China in between Asia and Europe and the Arabic countries, right? Arabic countries. So with this big population, we have to have a big, you know, at least we have to have a big cities, beautiful cities, because you have to represent all the businesses what you have in a nice big city. And also when the country becomes big, usually everybody comes to cities. If the cities in the country are small, less populated, it means it's economically not very, you know, developed. So
that's very true.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that this government is doing such a big projects like Yangi Toshkent and considering all that. I have another question.
There are others, by the way. There are other regional plans as well.
Okay.
So it's not just Toshkent,
not just, yeah,
which
I know.
is great.
I know.
So there's plans happening in Khiva and Samarkand and Bukhara as well. So all of these places are experiencing regeneration and sort of improvement. So I think it's also worth saying on your podcast that, you know, that it isn't just about the capital. There's actually these huge plans for the rest. You know, Yangi Uzbekistan, as it's called, is actually a much bigger project than just Yangi Toshkent. So it's kind of a nationwide improvement plan that's happening, which is kind of amazing.
Yes.
You know?
As a somebody who grew up in Tashkent, of course it might be, you know, Yangi Toshkent might look massive for me. Well, it's a massive one if you will see just a single project.
It is, yeah.
But I always travel to regions. I've been in Urgench recently. I've been to in different cities. Even in those far cities, there is a lot of construction going on, a lot, because the previous government they didn't let the people do that. You know, they were not open to the world. Neighboring countries, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, whoever I talk to, my friends, I have a lot of friends from neighbor countries. They're very proud. And until the new president, we always were economically behind Kazakhstan. Everybody was telling, oh, look, Kazakhstan is doing really well. Kazakhstan is the, you know, most developed country in the Central Asia. Now they have competition. Uzbekistan is doing really well. Even Kazakh people, I see the posts about it. Hey, our neighbor Uzbeks are doing really well. I think they will be the biggest nation, like a locomotive, or you know, of the Central Asia. And it's really I'm very proud that I'm seeing it, and I'm about 35 years old. You know, if I was 6 years old, I wouldn't care about this project, you know. So I'm very happy that the nation, the government and nation is experiencing it, and thanks again for, you know, doing your effort.
It's a pleasure. It's a privilege
in shaping this city, you know, and country.
I think it's interesting what you just said about the regional states there that and the new president there. So when I first came here, or when I first had a telephone call to come to Uzbekistan, I had an Uzbek friend of 25 years who I met in the Middle East, and he said to me, "Don't go to Uzbekistan." And
when was this?
About 25 years ago in the Middle East. He said, "Don't go to Uzbekistan." And
why did he say that?
He said it's closed, and
okay.
like the opportunities weren't there.
Right.
And he was telling, the benefits of living in the Middle East, and of course there was great growth in the Middle East at the time. And then 7 years ago, I get a phone call, and he says, "Come to Uzbekistan." And he told me not to come there. He said, "No, come there. There's a big change."
Yeah.
And
that's when the new president.
And the new president had come into power about a year before, and he'd come back. He's one of the 50 most successful businessmen in Uzbekistan now.
Good.
And he recognised straight away that there was a new vision in this country, and so I came here. I came for 3 days. I went to a conference of by the governor of Tashkent region. He hosted the 50 most successful businessmen in Uzbekistan, and they asked me to speak there. And I just come here as a tourist for 3 days, and I spoke about the potential for foreign investment here. And I came for a few days and I ended up staying 3 months, and 5 years later I'm here. And it's been an incredible journey, and you're part of that incredible journey, of course, there, because you're developing this amazing new city within a city. And
we met in an airport, didn't we? While you were
sorry,
we met in an airport.
Yeah. We actually met at an airport, and that's really funny because there's a lot of similarities. Both our mums are Turkish. We come from the same area in London, and our schools are about a kilometre apart. And we had this common success of coming to Uzbekistan. And what I'm actually trying to speak about is actually the regional thing, that we're actually doing soil restoration projects here.
Yeah, I know.
From technology from America. It's an American Indian of origin scientist who's developed this, and it's a humic-based acid and bacteria-based organic soil restoration product. I can't call it a fertilizer because it's not a fertilizer. And he detoxifies the land, and we've just,
which is very important in Uzbekistan. We have a big problem.
In Uzbekistan, there's a huge issue with toxic land.
Yes,
and we've experienced. It's got the best watermelons in the world, the most tasty pomegranates in the world, but the elephant in the room is there's too many pesticides being used. And that's had an ongoing health effect for people here. And
did not know that.
And no one knows it. As I said, it's kind of the elephant in the room here that nobody speaks about it. But I made a decision, I think it's got a brave decision now, that I went to see the governor of Samarkand, who's actually the governor of Sirdarya now, and I did a presentation to discuss this and tell them about how we can detoxify the land, we can increase the yield, and get more money in the farmers' pockets. Which is what the president's vision is here: is to grow a middle wealth. And at the bottom are the farmers there who need help. And if we can detoxify the land, then they're going to be able to have higher yields, and the yields are between 100 and 150% higher using these products.
You told me about this earlier. This project that they are doing now is actually, it will do a big effects, because the reason why we have a toxic lands is because of the Aral Sea. Aral Sea dried out and all salt is there. It comes with the wind, and when the salt comes into the soil, it kills the soil. And also, our agricultural system is not shaped well. we have a lot of production, but we don't have a regulation of using fertilizers, how bad they can affect. People don't care. They don't have enough education. They're working on it, but it's not going to help if we do some radical changes. His solution is actually one of the solutions that will reshape the vision. So tell me about that. What eventually it will do. And then give us some numbers that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, what I do. So we went to see the governor of the region, mm-hmm. and we spoke about it, and our vision is to turn Uzbekistan into an organic garden.
Yeah.
So pesticide free, and make this the first state in the world to be pesticide free.
Yes.
And this technology is not new technology. Yep. It's 20 years old. But Michael, who's developed this technology, is a scientist. Yep. He's definitely not a businessman, because if I'd have had this business 20 years ago, it would have been, it would have been on the worldwide scale. And he's from the US. Yeah. But because of it's grown organically, his business, organically being the key word there. But in California now, it's gone down to Mexico and South America. You're seeing these cotton fields. He's grown cotton in the Arizona desert with 50% of the amount of water and 100% higher yield.
If I'm not wrong, 70% of the land of Uzbekistan is desert.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's actually 70% of the land that's not used in this country.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's agricultural land, and there's so much land that's not used here. So
it's actually a really big country.
It's a huge country
with actually quite a small population in comparison.
So. And so what's got to happen is, or what we've pitched is to turn Uzbekistan into an organic state, detoxify the land, but that's got to happen on the state level, because the difference between Europe and America and where we are in Central Asia is that farmers are relatively rich in the UK and they own their own land. Yeah. And so they make the decision on what they put into that land.
Yeah.
In this country, it's state-owned, the land, and you lease the land.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that there's a lease of around 30 years, I think it's 35 years, and the foreigner can do it for 25 years.
Yeah.
But what actually happens is that the land's leased by the government or local hockings there, and then it's subleased to the farmers.
Yeah.
And the problem is these poor farmers are sometimes getting a field for half a season.
Yeah.
So they're throwing pesticides in, which is a legacy from the Soviet era.
Yeah.
So they're throwing pesticides in the hope that they're going to get a higher yield.
Yeah.
And of course, you are getting kind of supersized product, but it's pretty toxic.
But it's very toxic.
And now what's happening is that the land's dying.
Yeah.
Because it's been over pesticide for years, and so the yields aren't actually growing. Yeah. They're actually decreasing. So it's got to change, and it's got to change on a global level, really. There, and we're seeing in Europe at the moment there's 25 pesticides that they've just banned there, and gradually you're going to see Europe go into an organic state. But we're hoping that we're going to fast track it here.
Yes. Because the reason why we have to consider this project is Uzbekistan is actually agriculturally in Central Asia is the biggest agricultural hub.
Absolutely.
It's already.
Yeah.
We're feeding Kazakhstan, part of half of it. We sent a lot of products to Russia. We sent Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, all over. Even UAE, Korea, we did some. But like you said, the legacy of using, over pesticides is still here. And this solution, what he's trying to bring to Uzbekistan is only will be successful if the government will support. Because in Uzbekistan, like he said, if you lease the land, as a farmer, you don't care. If you buy it, if that's your land, you know that, you will start taking care.
Absolutely.
And if there is a solution, for example, they're already starting to doing the testing.
Pilot schemes.
Yeah. So in short, you buy that organic, what's it called? Like a bio.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
I call it a soil restoration product there rather than
an SRP.
Yeah.
So SRP.
SRP.
There you go.
Yeah.
Branded.
If you buy that SRP, put it into your land.
Yeah.
After some period, you already getting up to 60% more
higher yield. Yeah.
High yield, using how many percent less? Or you don't even use? You use 50% less
water.
Yeah. You use
there. And for Uzbekistan, it's a game changer. Obviously, it's the biggest cotton producer in the world and some of the finest cotton. And we've got a historical legacy of the greatest ecological disaster in the world is the drying up of the Aral Sea. Yeah. Yesterday, my partner, Natalie Novikova, was in Kelajak, Pakistan, meeting with the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Ecology to discuss growing vegetation in the Aral Sea.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to run our showcase pilot scheme.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully going to start next month. And if we can, because the problem with a dried up sea is you can't just put water back in there, or you can't just things there because there's been a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
But we can actually detoxify that, and we can grow vegetation in there. Yeah. And then that will stop what you said is the wind picking up the sand and
salt.
Yeah.
And are you taking on investors on this, or how does it work?
I'm glad you said that there, because at the moment that I've been funding this myself and through our consultancy business that we have here. But of course, we actually need investment on a state level. Yeah. To detoxify the land, I think, is the obligation of the state. And that would be backed by, I would say, some NGOs, the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, and hopefully EBRD would be the people who could come in here and fund this. And I think...
And it's very profitable, by the way. If you start doing it, if you just invest a lot of money, it's not like, making a burger and selling it, but you have to prepare big. You have to start selling it. As soon as farmers will understand that after a few years of using it, there will be a mouth advertisement like, hey, I used it.
Absolutely.
I'm using 50% less water. Water is a huge problem in Uzbekistan. Yeah. Huge problem in this area. Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, everywhere. Especially in Uzbekistan, because all the waters come from neighboring mountains in the neighboring countries. So if they close the water, we're done. So, but we are the who produce. So they have the water, but we have the agriculture. We do the work.
So this could be a real game changer.
And if his plan, what they're trying to do, is going to be supported by the government, and if Uzbekistan will become first country who turned the desert into a farms, whoever did it, whoever realized that project, I think easily can get a Nobel Prize. You don't have to be a Donald Trump nowadays in order to get a Nobel Prize.
Like you just said, it's not me. It's Michael and Natalie who developed this, and
that's very
I've just got the vision.
Yeah.
And one thing I haven't said is the expensive part, the detoxification of this land, is a one-time product. You put it in the ground, and it detoxifies the land, and that goes on for hundreds of years.
And what form does it take? This
it actually will come here at the moment as powder form, and then you will liquefy it. But we're actually going to produce it in Uzbekistan in the future.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, and we're going to make this the regional hub for the project. Yeah. There.
So imagine 30 years after 30 years, we see that half of the Kazakhstan is green land now, half of the Afghanistan is green land, Turkmenistan, half of the desert is green land now, and there is a green land in Central Asia, is because somebody supported this project, invested in it, and monetize it. You invest in it, you produce. If you produce it in Uzbekistan massively, it's like it does itself. You don't have to use robots on, create. It's not like a chip. It's like a farming. And it creates by itself, right?
Absolutely. So so this detoxifies the land, and then there's a few things that need to be kind of discussed, and it's definitely that the farmers need to be more connected to that land. They need to be given the actual 30-year contracts there, so they feel that they can empower themselves to invest in the second part, which is the annual treatment of the crop there, which does enhance their yield by 100 to 150% there. But they need to feel that they're invested in that land to be able to do that. And that's where this journey is changing in this country, where, the middle layers are still there. And we need, and this is where I'm hoping that I'm looking for a patron, someone who's maybe at the top level there. Pakistan, the leader of the President's Council now, Saida Murzod, the daughter of the President, Mozail, she has done an amazing job in that region.
I know.
And so someone like her would be a great patron there to be able to attract the right investment. The region has become a net exporter of energy. It's probably one of the most difficult areas in climate and terrain, and is becoming a success story.
And do you see it working elsewhere outside of Uzbekistan?
Absolutely, it's a global problem. Detoxifying land, a global problem over pesticiding. We're doing something that is old technology, and we're sticking with it. It's like people, eating fried food there, and now that they're much more conscious about healthy eating. We haven't got over that hurdle yet of why are we still using these pesticides? There's technology out there. We just need to change the mentality of people, and of course, there's a huge industry there. So, with people making money, the same as Big Pharma, Big Agri, and we need to jump over that hurdle and say, hey, we need to stop using these products.
And could this work not just for pesticides, but for other kinds of toxification as well, or was it specifically pesticides?
Absolutely. So what I would call low-hanging fruits here is we're actually speaking to some mining companies and natural resource companies here who have land that's contaminated. And this product, within 6 months, we can start growing vegetation on their land.
Because I went to this site in Albania it must be about a year ago now, the Elbasan metallurgical factory. It's this huge site to the west of their capital, and walked around it with one of the ministers, and he was kind of showing us this huge, ex-industrial site. and it started raining. And as it was raining, suddenly it just released this kind of smell from the ground, and it was just like burning your nose, you know. And it's this contamination caused by the metal industry that used to be there in this site, you know, 30 years ago. And after decades, it's still got this contamination, and they're trying to contend with how to fix that. So, you know, this product potentially could go and fix that whole site.
And what we, you know, ESG is a new word in this country, and we could talk about probably your project with ESG. Yeah. And I just went to a conference yesterday, actually here by the Foreign Investors Council about ESG. And it's so new, you know, Coca-Cola have implemented ESG here, and there's no legal requirement for ESG at the moment. This is changing as we speak. ESG is environmental social governance there. And companies who in Europe, they have to offset their carbon footprint by buying carbon credits there. And this is something that's just happening at the moment there. They've set up a carbon credit platform, the Uzbek government there because they've seen the opportunity here. But actually, what they need to do is they need to implement it for their the people who are producing toxic emissions here. And so what we've looked at is, you know, mining companies, for example, they're kind of asset rich there, but their land's contaminated. They have to buy carbon credits there because now the legacy of listing on the London Stock Exchange, for example, means that you have to adhere to ESG there. And so these companies are by default having to adhere to these requirements. And we can simply decontaminate land, and they can produce their own carbon sequestration.
Going back to that project, the one that you're working on it, did you do any math? How much investment will be needed for the mass production, and when it will be returned? You know, did you do any?
The answer is that there's a micro and macro financial statement on this, and it's not an expensive investment there to set this up, because this is bacteria based and humic acid. It's natural. It's natural product there, and so it's millions, not hundreds of millions, to develop this within Uzbekistan. Yeah. And so it takes relatively small amount of investment to put this in place. It takes a huge amount of investment to detoxify the country. Yeah. And that is where the mathematics, and we've got some numbers there, people need to look at it, because obviously a government's going to say, oh we're spending $5,000 per hectare dollars, you know. But if you look at this in the long term, there, you're going to have hundreds of times your a return on your investment. Yeah. It's that initial expensive lump sum that is where you know, investors find it difficult to swallow. And that's why we need to speak to people like NGOs who can see the vision, and they can even temporarily fill that investment requirement, and in the long term it'll, you know, be a benefit for everybody.
So for the start, how much you think your project needs?
Well, as I said, we're going to do, I think, 7 initial pilot projects. We want to do 14, but I'm self-funding this at the moment there, and so we've got our limitations. I think if we had a $50 million investment in here, that we could do substantial field trials, and then the commercial companies here, such as Indorama, and some of the mining companies would start buying the product, and then we could commercially
sell it to the farmers as well.
Exactly. There. So but we need to do this on scale, and at the moment we're doing small scale projects, and we need to do it where we can really show some sort of substantial.
Exactly. Do you think the 50 million investment will be enough to go?
It's
huge?
kind of you were talking about startups and bootstraps, and that is tier one.
Tier one.
That is to be able to do this in hectares rather than meters.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
And if we can do it in hectares, when you're doing it in meters, it's kind of a scientific research there that the scientists and the accreditation go, oh yeah, that works there. But if you want to get major agri companies, they want to see their crop on 20 hectares there. They want to say, show us what you can do on that 20 hectares there commercially.
Yeah, I have a question. So that bacteria, right, that soil, if you put it somewhere, let's say, if you create 10 hectares of island in the middle of the desert, does it spreads out by itself too, or no?
No, it goes downwards rather than sideways there.
But how long it takes to desert to become like a soil where you can grow?
Well, within a year, you can start seeing this there. I mean, obviously the RLCs are probably the most complex structure in the world.
Yeah.
There. And but we think within 3 years you'll see vegetation there.
And when you apply it onto big areas, do you just dump them from like an airplane, or
it can be done, or drones now there, and
or machines?
Well, machines. I also think machines are a thing of the past as well, because heavy tractors going on your land.
Yeah.
There, the days of drones now are here. And if
you just spray the land with it, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it like a liquid?
So it's in powder form, because it's from America at the moment there. So to bring it here in liquid form just wouldn't be financially viable. No, so we're doing it in powder form, bringing it here and then liquefying it.
Does it need some kind of special plant, or is it just dilution? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward there. Right. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So it's a pretty simple supply chain, as it were, in a way. You just bring the powder, you put water in it, and then you spray it. Simple.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Nice. And then let's say we have 10 tons of it. How it's produced? Do you use that product in order to make it more, like into produce more? How it's been produced?
Okay, so there's two different products. There's the detoxification, which is something called TerraPro, and that's humic acid there, and from there you have a bacteria-based product there, which can be grown in a machine there, and it's not an expensive product to grow there, and so at the moment what we need to do, we're obviously shipping it from the US, but we want to produce
in Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
So is it produced in labs? Is it produced in farms? Is it produced in factories?
The original production was Michael did it via a university there, and they did it in labs.
Yeah.
And now you just need a bio machine up there to do this. There's 3 or 4 in Uzbekistan that we can utilize.
Okay, so it's in spatial bio machines.
Yeah. It's like a mixer. From what I understand there. I wish Natalia was here actually. Yeah. She's much more technically involved in this. So basically it's produced in there, and then you spread it there. You spray the product.
What are they made from?
Bacteria.
Bacteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just bacteria.
And then you can.
So it basically eats away.
Yeah.
Gosh,
I think it's really interesting.
It sounds like some kind of magic substance.
It is, and Michael being a Native American Indian, makes it all more of a great. He's obviously an eminent scientist as well. Sorry, but his descent, it just makes such a great story.
Yeah, of course.
Such a great story because he's so in touch with the land, and I think that if we can change this nation here. Yeah. It's a legacy for him there of all his hard work and his research. And this here is why I've stayed here, because I really believe that this is going to, change, and this is going to be the garden, like you said, of Central Asia, and Ireland produces. It's got a population of 5 million people. And it produces enough food for 50 million people there. And Uzbekistan, and Ireland's, I think, about a third, or not even a third of the size of Uzbekistan. What can we do here?
Yeah.
What can we do here? And look at the regional catchment here. There's 250 million people in this region. Afghanistan and Pakistan are starting to, to grow.
Yep.
They're obviously north of here as well.
It's so funny, because
brilliant.
Listen, my Turkish is not that good. Yeah. I'm fluent, of course. Yeah. It's my mother tongue, but it's not like when I speak Turkish, a Turkish person kind of looks at me like this and says, "You've either lived abroad for a long time, or there's something going on."
Yeah.
But they still understand everything. Yeah. So I say that in a friendly way. I'm not insulting Uzbek. It just sounds to me a little bit like a drunk Turk. It's funny because you can pick up every second word, and the words you use are Turkish words, but they're Uzbek and they're said slightly differently.
We're Turkic nations.
Of course,
we all consider Turkic nations: Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Turkmen, not Tajik. They are more Persian. And then Afghans have Persian, and then Pashto, Urdu. So
it's a beautiful language, though. By the way, whenever I come here, I enjoy listening to it, and I want to learn it as well because I think it would be quite easy for me to learn. Yeah. Sometimes I practice saying the words like it's a Turkish word, but saying it slightly different, and it's almost Uzbek.
On Monday, I'm going to. I'm starting school here.
To learn.
Because I decided that I was learning Russian, and I'll tell you the big difference that I've noticed in the last 6 years since I first came here. Is when I first went to government offices, everyone spoke in Russian. Yep. You got in a taxi, everyone spoke Russian. Now, I've got 6 people who work in my office who don't speak Russian. They're Uzbek, and they speak English in Uzbek. And so there's been a big change where Uzbek is obviously spoken in all the government offices now. And so I kind of got this thirst to learn it now.
And in Uzbekistan, it's always Uzbek and Russian at school, right? So from my understanding,
yes. And then we had more Russian influence previously.
Yeah, of course.
So the first president, when he became president, he didn't know Uzbek. He was fluent in Russian. While he was Uzbek, his nation was Uzbek. He was kind of mixed, I think, if you take a look at the history. But he was a Russian-speaking Uzbek. His wife was Russian. So we were very influenced by Russians. And when I was working in the government, there was 2 big teams. One was bigger, Russian-speaking team. Maybe population-wise, it was smaller, but it was a powerful team. And then there was that was president's team. And then there was a prime minister who was also speaking Russian as well, but his team was more of a Uzbek team, Uzbek-speaking team, And then when he became a president, Uzbek language took over the power in the government, inside of the documentation.
Interesting.
So now it's more Uzbek.
Now it's switched. So
yes. Okay. If you ask 20 years old kids now if you start talking to them in Russian, most of them, they don't know.
How interesting.
Yeah, outside Tashkent. I mean, I went to a restaurant the other day with all my staff, and the guy started speaking to him in Russian, and everyone looked around. Obviously,
I know. It's I can say as a foreigner to Uzbekistan, when I came here, I think the first time I came here must have been 6-7 years ago, and I would say spasiba.
Yeah.
And everyone would expect me to say spasiba. Yeah. Now, people expect me to say rahmat. You know, they look at me and they say, if I say spasiba, they almost are annoyed at me. Exactly. Like, this isn't Russia, buddy. You know, so now I've learned always to say rahmat. You know, that's the way to say it.
My generation, a lot of Russian-speaking people. Young generation, a lot of English-speaking people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I get in taxis now. Yeah. And the guy goes, "Where are you from?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Whoa."
That's interesting.
And that 5 years ago, 6 years ago would have never happened. Exactly. And now it happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's such an interesting part of the world, the CIS countries, where this area, as it's called CIS, you know, in the West, the Central Asian region, because you've got Russia to your north, you've got China to the east, you've got, you know, all of the west to the west, you know, you've got Turkey just nearby, which is, you know, I would say, second largest army in NATO, you know, largest population in Europe, if Europe had accepted us into their group, and a huge power, economic force, I would say, in its own right. So you've got kind of Turkey, China, Russia, and the West. And then, you know, the Arab and the Emirates below. It's like right in the middle of everything. I mean, often everyone from a different country always says, oh, we're right in the middle of the world. You know, even the English will say, we're right in the middle of the world. Everyone says they're in the middle because they look at it from their perspective. Yeah. But geographically, Uzbekistan is actually accurately in the center of the world. Yeah. So it's such an opportunity that you can broker deals with everyone. No. You don't have to be indebted to any country and just say, I'm just with you. You know, as in many ways we could say, you know, the UK is absolutely indebted to the US, for example. You know, it's I think it's common knowledge now that, you know, that just is how it is. And that's happening more and more. You know, certain states have more independence than others. You know, I would say arguably France has more independence as a European country than, say, the UK does from other states, as I've mentioned. And Uzbekistan, I think, has this great opportunity to remain independent and not have to rely on relations with one country. Do you know what I mean?
I see him as Switzerland in this regard.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that, and I think someone at the very top is that, you know, is where this is, that we're Switzerland. We're friendly with everybody there. We're not aligned to anybody there, and we're Uzbek. We're not anybody else, and we've got our own identity there. But we will look east, north, south, and west there and embrace everybody. And that's where this place, where you were saying Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan have obviously Kazakhstan has been traditionally many years ahead. They had the gas money coming out and the big towers growing, and but I think geopolitically. It changed not so long ago, about 3 years ago, and that's where we've seen the kind of gold rush into Uzbekistan, where we've seen sort of geopolitical positioning here, and that's what's making this nation grow faster.
We always been, you know, like we always had a man-made threats like Afghanistan. Afghanistan always been in the war, either with USA or Soviet Union, Russians, right? And we were like been scared by them, like, hey, Afghanistan will take you over, we have to defend you, so you have to be my kid, you know? But this president just came, took over the power. He showed everyone that he's friendly, he's open to everybody, not just a Russia or some neighboring countries. I would never thought that we will have a good relationship with Afghanistan. Afghani nation is like any other nation. It's a nation. Yeah, of course. It's they have right to live. They have right to be happy, and as a neighbor, we have a good relationship with them. Even though if they're Islamic country, they have different rules, different visions. We still are friends now. You know why? It's because of that.
Yeah.
We're friends now with Kazakhstan. We're friends now with Tajikistan. We had a bad relationship with Tajikistan. Now everybody is coming from Tajikistan. We meet them as our brothers, and we go to Tajikistan, no problems. Kazakhstan, no problems. So it's all because of one guy coming with different view and trying to implement these ideas into his nation.
Absolutely.
And not a lot of people see those things, because obviously a lot of people usually they have different problems. They have just a simple problems on how to surviving or building their life. But if you take a look on what is changing, it's huge. Just talking English-speaking nation, like the new generation is speaking better English is a result.
Yeah.
When I was starting my business, we could receive hundreds of CVs, and out of hundreds of CVs, we could find only one, maybe up to 5 candidates who spoke English, okay English. Now, I can see like 70% of the CVs that I receive have okay English. Maybe 5 of them are fluent. Some of them they grow up in somewhere in USA or in UK. Some of them. And when you have that level English, you know that, oh, okay, this is if he sounds intellectually okay, you hire him.
Well, I think
right
also
away.
Just for individuals, I think it's worth saying to Uzbeks, you should of course be very, very proud of your Uzbek culture and your language. That should always be your mother tongue.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think learning English has its benefits. You know,
Absolutely.
because of course Russian is a great language, but it has a limited use in the case of it can be useful in Russia and CIS, but outside of that, not widely used. Whereas English. Yeah. It is, like it or not, it's become the global language, So I think learning it and learning it well and being fluent in English means that you can export your skills and yourself and go and live somewhere else, wherever that might be. Because nowadays in most European countries, you can get by speaking English.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, I'm married to a French woman. She's and I know about and I love France dearly. I'm sure we're going to move there one day. But they're very proud of their language. So maybe everyone there speaks English, but sometimes they pretend not to. But most other countries, you can get by with English. So I think it's worthwhile knowing it and learning it well for anyone who's kind of considering it. But what about you? So
ZbekPodcast is one of my projects that I'm working on. I want to bring the people who is shaping the nation, doing their effort into shaping the Uzbek nation, and you're one of those, and I'm very happy to have
very flattering.
Both of you guys.
Thank you.
He's doing really well. He's actually helping Kashkadarya region. You're still doing it, right? He's counseling, helping, advising in Kashkadarya region. He knows more we call the governors, hakims, than me. So he's helping, and also he's helping a lot of European companies, especially British companies, on soft landing. You're still helping them, a lot of companies, I think, right?
Yeah. So we're the bridge into Uzbekistan and the bridge out of Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
So local companies, we help them export their goods. Or find foreign investment.
Yep.
And foreign companies looking to enter the market here, we hold their hands and help them find partners or production. It's interesting, and I'm going to ask Hakan after this. But when I first set up the consultancy side of our business, opened an office in London, we have one in Dublin. I was expecting much more business coming from the UK and from Europe. And actually, most of our clients are from Japan, Korea, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, India. And what would you say to UK companies about the opportunity in Uzbekistan?
Well, it's pretty huge. I mean, I think it's obviously an emerging market that, as you've described very, very eloquently, it's kind of come out of let's say, a cloak that existed over the country that kept it very introvert, I'd say, for many years under the previous president. And after kind of independence and, certainly from 91, but then with President Mirziyoyev as well, it seems that the country has just suddenly opened, blossomed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think anyone who gets in at this stage quite early is going to benefit hugely. So to any foreign investors, to any foreign businesses, I would say, come here. Certainly we would want to open here as well. I mean, obviously we've just delivered this huge project, and I'm in discussion with yourself and local partners about how to open a business here. I would say certainly to the authorities that I think it would, if they want more foreign companies to come here, it might be an idea to sort of just advertise it a bit more.
I know a guy who had 3 offices. He's a IT guy. They develop a lot of products, IT products. He had 150 software engineers and tech guys in 3 or 4 offices abroad. He closed 2 of them in the expensive parts. He had one, I think, in Spain. And now he have an office in Toshkent with about 60 people, 60 software engineers. And he invested, so he was about to invest into IT business, collaborating with IT, etc. He shut down that office as well. So he started that IT direction, the new type of a business in Toshkent, because he could save a lot of money. He was mentioning me that he was paying $5,000-$6,000 per software engineer in Spain. Now he's paying like $1,500 to $2,000 in Toshkent.
For a long time, I've been speaking to you, Peter, about having an office, particularly as we have a project here and many projects, and we want to grow an office as well. That I hope someday we can open an office in Tashkent as well. And it's not just to benefit economically, of course. This is about expanding the operations of the office globally. And we recently opened in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, a year ago, and that was partly because His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman effectively put down a rule at the start of 25 to say, if you want to continue getting tenders and being able to work on projects here or bid for projects here, the big ones, what are called giga projects and mega projects, in order to be able to register on their government portals, you have to have a localization certificate, which in order to get a localization certificate, you need a Saudi local working for you. In order to do that, you need a regional headquarters in Saudi, which effectively means that if you want to work here, you need an office here, right? Yeah. That's the bottom line. And so we opened an office in Riyadh because we do want to continue working in Saudi. It's an amazing market to work in. I've probably been to Saudi Arabia more than any other country in the world. Wow. I think I've been there maybe 30 times. And the projects there are very aspirational, very big, the kind of new Tashkent style projects there. And I've had a similar very positive experience in Saudi Arabia. So we opened there, and I hope the office grows. We have our first employee now on the ground. So, for me, the idea of actually opening offices where you work is about showing your commitment to working in that country. Exactly. And saying, I'm willing to put roots down in your country. I'm not just here to take the money and run. I actually want to create a local workforce and contribute to your economy. That's the idea. Yeah. If in return there are parts of the world where also the expense is a bit lower, great. As a businessman, you want to make profit, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything bad if you're saying you want to actually contribute to a local economy, you know. So yeah, I mean, hopefully you can talk more about that because you've done it, right?
Sure. I think what it is if you have a look at the biggest companies in the world, Google and Amazon, they have regional hubs everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's cultural. There to cultural identity, and investing in where they're earning from. And Uzbekistan has been the destination of choice in Central Asia, which, you know, from our discussions, probably wasn't the obvious one there. Probably Kazakhstan's much more sophisticated, but they're landing in Uzbekistan. Why is that? There because there's a massive young labour force. 60% of the population are under 30. Very well-educated nation, very dynamic, and the tax regime here makes it preferential.
Yep.
And the business environment is much more open now and more dynamic. So when you're seeing the major players coming in who are very strategic planners, you kind of know that the small medium enterprises there would probably be benefiting from setting up, outsourcing their operational stuff into more regions that have lower salaries and lower GDPs there. So the world's
how many
smaller.
do you have now? How many staff do you have
10
in Tashkent?
Yeah,
oh, wow, that's amazing.
And what we found is that what I found is that the staff here. One thing that I found amazing in this country is in my office, everyone wears a shirt and tie and a suit to work. I didn't put that down as a mandatory, but in the morning everybody comes in and shakes your hand. We all have lunch together.
Yep.
At night time we all shake hands.
Yeah.
There's a massive sense of respect for their position.
That's lovely.
And I would say that people here are so hungry to work for Western businesses, or international businesses would be the right word.
Yeah.
And they stay late. They work on the weekends.
Yep.
They want to learn, and it's so refreshing because I've got an office in London and I've got one in Dublin, and
you know why I'm laughing, right?
Yeah, sure. and so the work ethic here is second to none.
There is no such a thing like, well, it's not my duty.
Absolutely. So the one thing I always say to people, whenever I've opened an office is, there's no job description there. We all get stuck in.
Yep.
And here they've embraced that. You can't do that in other countries.
Job is very important. Work is very important because it affects your salary. When it affects your salary, it affects your life.
Sure.
In USA, you can have a same life if you're making $3,000 or $6,000. Pretty much same. In Uzbekistan, if you have a lower salary, it means you're surviving.
Sure.
But if in Uzbekistan, if you're making $2,000 a month, you're living good life. So it's a different thing. And in Uzbekistan, that's why the people, I receive a lot of phone calls saying, hey, hi, I want to work for you for 2-3 months for free. Just take me, just teach me, just make me a specialist so I can earn at least $500 or $1,000 a month.
Right.
So, but in Western countries, you don't see that. With the work mentality is different. You can take one of your software engineers, say, look, I'm going to Kashkadaria tomorrow. I don't have my driver's license. You're going to take me there. No problem. He says, yes. Why not? I'll be your driver. If he needs to be a translator, he will be a translator. So basically, it's every worker in Uzbekistan is, especially in the beginning, they are ready to learn everything what you say.
Yeah, amazing.
They're ready to do whatever you say. Part of the cost optimization.
Yes.
When you create a opportunity to your worker to bring more to your company,
exactly,
and get more, they're more motivated.
Totally.
For example, I have a team of updaters. Every month, the operations manager comes to me and says, here, this month, we made extra this amount.
Yeah.
And we have a strict rule. If they brought money more by putting their effort, we pay them more.
Mm-hmm.
As you see, we have a KPI. If you're in the best team of dispatchers, you get $1,000 more bonus.
Beautiful.
Yeah. If you're second best team, you have $500. If you're third, you're not getting anything, but you have a motivation to do better in order to get that 500 or 1,000 next month. So we're implementing that we're trying to do it in every single department, because you have to motivate every single department with bonuses in order to do the things right and avoid unnecessary expenses. Yangi Toshkent loyihasini eng katta arxitektorni bilan suhbat quryapmiz. Agar bu videoni ko'rayotgan bo'lsanglar, bu inson Toshkentda ofis ochishni rejalashtirilyapti. Bu albatta har biringiz uchun bir imkoniyat bo'lishi mumkin. Bizni ko'rishda davom eting. I think it's a good opportunity for some of the top architects, local architects. Maybe they will end up working with you if they're watching this podcast. And if we come back to Uzbekistan, so being not from here, but doing a lot of business here, how do you see Uzbekistan in next coming, let's say, 10, 15 years? What do you think?
Well, I think especially as you have a new city being built, I hear someone designed a new city next door.
Yeah.
So I think with all those plots coming forward, there's a huge amount of work, obviously. So for a young architecture firm like us, opening here is just opportunity. I see other firms actually who have done really well. Friends of mine, Uzbek and Turkish firms who have opened here, flourishing, I'm so happy for them. There's a couple of firms that are really growing. I know, I could name drop Design Factory. They're doing a really beautiful job. Some of the buildings in our master plan they're designing. So Bahri, who's the head of that company, is doing a great job. Again, he's nurturing that local talent and building a really successful company. And I can only look at them with pride and say it's so great that the project has enabled lots of young firms to grow. Hopefully we can be one of those. So I think it's a real opportunity to come here. I don't know the details of how you open the firm yet, because I've been so focused on delivering the project out of London and flying over here that I'll need local advice. And I know Peter is a specialist in this field. So I think getting local partners like Peter and advice from people like you as well, I think is the way to do that. So I see this as a real opportunity.
Good.
For sure. Yeah.
Peter, in general, what do you think, where Uzbekistan is going? In what direction? And I know there is a lot of positive things going on, but we know that we have a lot of problems that we have to work on. I think everybody have problems. But considering how we are going and doing things for the last 5-6 years, how Uzbekistan will shape in 10, 15, maybe 20 years?
Well, in my view, obviously I've invested in this place and I've come here and lived here for nearly 5 years now. And I just see that this is going to be the regional hub of Central Asia. more and more businesses are going to relocate here. More and more businesses are going to see the opportunity of the domestic market here.
Yep.
And I can see with a massive young population here, this place is going to create its own identity, which I think we've had the cloud of the old Soviet identity, and that's disappearing by the day. And this young generation's going to flourish.
Yeah, I think so too. And few things that we already spoke: the language, the people becoming more modern, speaking English is already saying that it's been doing really well, and becoming a Asian Switzerland itself gives a lot of assurance that, look, we don't want to be enemies, we don't want to have enemies, we're friendly with everybody, just come, do business, live, and enjoy.
Yeah.
And what's I've seen a big tech push in Uzbekistan as well, so I don't know if you guys want to talk about that. Like, where's that coming from? We as a business have technology, software engineers in our business. It's what makes us kind of quite unique. Would that be something for us to look at, is to hire software engineers here, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was an approval of idea by the president of turning Uzbekistan, especially Tashkent, into a IT hub. So they've done amazing job already. There's an organization called IT Park. So that's what we were earlier talking about. They created a opportunity where you hire local IT specialists and pay very minimal taxes. So basically, you become a member of IT Park, and from your revenue you pay only 1%. So no taxes. You pay if the regular company, when you pay to your employee, regular company pays 12%. IT Park pays, I think it's only 7.5.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's almost twice less. And it's very clear, no hidden costs, no nothing. If you're bringing something for your work, like computers and stuff or chips, whatever you do, there is no tax, no even custom tax. So basically, that worked really well.
Yeah.
It's IT Park is becoming very huge now. They even built 2-3 big, huge buildings in order to accommodate the incoming companies. And your company profile suits perfectly because architecture is a digital nowadays, a digital product.
For sure.
It's not like 20 years ago. It was a paper only, and as you told in your previous podcast, when you were born in 1982.
You listened to that? That was you listening?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Autodesk,
Autodesk launched AutoCAD.
Yes.
Right?
On actually the same month I was born.
Same month.
December 82.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's when everything started becoming more, I think, digital. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then now it's no papers. We don't have only one printer here, only for some if we need it.
Otherwise, society.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
So,
and it's only exponential. That digital integration into architecture. It's absolutely the future of our industry, because AutoCAD 1 was like followed by 2, 3, 4, and then it got to the point where AutoCAD switched to Revit.
Yeah.
Which is BIM, building information modeling, and that's where you've got all of the information three-dimensionally of the building, including the services. The way to explain it to people is that in a 3D model, we just extrude something as like a mass, But when you use BIM, that mass is actually components, real life components. Right. So it says like that's a window panel and it has a product assigned to it. So when you build a BIM model, it's not, people often confuse it with a 3D model. It's three-dimensional, but it's made of all the exact same elements that will exist in real life. So the glazing is specified specifically, all the elements are specified specifically. So that BIM model now is, as as I think I mentioned on that podcast, is the equivalent one BIM modeler, one person who can produce that BIM model.
Yeah.
Is absolutely doing the job of a room full of architects from 1981. Because back then they used to use pencils on paper. So whenever there was a change to that model, to that idea or that building concept, they would have to redraft dozens of pages and go, okay, that's affecting that section. Yeah. That section drawing has to affect that elevation. So you'd have like 10 people in the office start redrawing a section, a plan, an elevation. Whereas now, that one change is a couple of clicks from an architect and the whole BIM model changes. So all those sections, and then you just hit export and all of those drawings are just exported PDF and printed if you want. Yeah. That is a crazy difference. Yeah. 10 people for a week of work versus one person for an hour. Yeah. And that exponential rate of change is only going to get bigger with AI. Yes. Because now what's happening with AI is that it's producing these 2D images that I'm sure you guys have seen. And even now, thanks to the efforts of DeepMind and Anthropic and all of these AI companies, they're actually producing, real life imitation 3D where you can walk around, just on a prompt. And you can, Sora 2, for example, is like creating whole videos just with a simple prompt. And Genie and all of these other tools from all the various AI companies. So very soon what's going to happen with all of that development is that from just a sketch, from a very simple drawing, you'll be able to go to a BIM model, which is fully specified. That then asks the question, what happens to the architect? So what is the answer? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but for sure, architects are going to have to realize that production element of what we do is going to be far less important. I think the thinking part, the conceptualization, the critical thinking, that's going to be where architects have to excel. So I think it's a really challenging moment for people in our industry, and probably in your industries, you've got similar things happening where what is your value to the industry? What is your value to the world, really, as an employee? And I think people that ignore this are going to be in real trouble in 5 years, right? Because they're going to say, what shall I do for a living? How shall I earn money? I mean, recently I just saw this thing where Elon Musk was saying that he believes the answer is going to be UBI, which I just disagree with, frankly. I don't think that's a good answer at all. Universal basic income, where everyone gets paid from the government. I mean, that's some form of communism, if you ask me. But,
and a complete lost world.
The thing is, if US will do it first, for example, or Europe together, I don't think they will be paying to Uzbek people. I think it will start in the USA itself and then Europe itself. They're okay paying their people, but I don't think they will pay us, Sure. And at the time when they will produce, those developed countries will produce enough of everything for the world, they will be just producing it, but not paying everybody. Meaning the developing countries will be surviving much more.
Right.
Because the production of agriculture will be not profitable in this country. So I would say there might be some of the countries will decide, okay, look, we're stopping importing AI. We don't need AI hardware, like we don't need robots, because robots will end up getting bought by the billionaires, and billionaires will be more richer, and then what I'm gonna do is the rest.
Exactly.
So I think there will be restrictions on that, and It will be in the developed countries in the beginning, but rest of the world will struggle more.
Yeah,
I think.
You think?
I think.
No, it's an interesting idea. Yeah,
because if you produce everything, if your robots produce enough food, enough products for everybody, and you're selling it cheaper than anybody, nobody can compete with you, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
You can't produce it here. You're dependent on USA or China or Europe. At least what they will do, since we're finishing this topic, at least they will create some type of a games where majority people will play and earn money.
Yeah, right, okay.
That's what they will end
terrifying.
up.
Do you know what I find interesting is that now, what I see in the West is that an electrician can earn more than an investment banker. And so getting trades with your hands
definitely
are becoming the new wealth. And a lot of people are now going away from going to university, and they're going to do trades.
Yep.
And the level of income and is and demand is massive.
100%.
It's massive. So there's always going to be, I think, work.
So we're about to finish our podcast.
Okay.
I would like to thank you guys for coming, and I would like each of you to say some of your thoughts that you want to say to the nation of Uzbekistan, to Uzbek nation, to Uzbek government. If you have something that you want to say, please, to your wishes to Uzbekistan and Uzbek nation.
Well, thank you for having me, firstly. I really appreciate it. It's been a great chat. I think to the people of Uzbekistan, keep watching this channel, firstly, both their channels. And I think keep an eye out on New Tashkent. It's going to be growing fast. And ultimately, I think the more investment the government can get for that project, the better. So to all sort of businessmen out there, definitely look to New Tashkent and get in touch with them. I know they're open to people going and helping them build this new city. And to the younger crowd, listen, we'll hopefully have our doors open soon over the next year or so. And keep an eye out for Crossworks. We're looking for software engineers, architects, urban designers, city planners, just general AI efficient digital people. So get in touch with us. Our number's on our website, and look forward to working in Uzbekistan more in the future. And also a big thanks to the Uzbek government as well, to President Mirziyoyev and his team, and for allowing a UK firm to come in and design the new city.
And thank you for hosting this first inaugural joint venture with our YouTube channels, and I'm sure it's going to be a real success. Uzbek language and English language, showing the outside world, which in English, what opportunities there are in this country. I think Hakan is a testament to what can happen as a foreign business to be able to come to this country and be successful. For Uzbeks, my business is always hiring. I have inquiries every day, but I look for something in particular, people who've got hunger and desire, and that sticks out from one piece of paper, which is a resume. You should write your resumes and really do it from the heart, not from AI. And come on board and see, you can come in and look at how people from other countries think and create businesses and go out and find your own way in this great emerging economy. And to the Uzbek government, it's been an amazing journey the last 5 years, and the level of transparency is improving by the day. We need some changes. Obviously, the poorest people in this country are in the agricultural industry. We need to help these people to grow, and that will take investment from the government and NGOs to come in here and create that middle wealth so we can enrich the poorest people in this country.
I hope everyone is liking our podcast. Thank you guys for having this podcast together with me. And I wish to my nation and my government, as usual, everyone wants to live a beautiful life. Everybody have the right to live a beautiful life. And I would like to thank the efforts of our government, who's trying to make this country more beautiful. And I hope you guys liked our podcast. If you guys are interested in those fields which our friends mentioned, please contact us. If you have questions, please type it below on the comment section, and we will try to bring more interested people onto Uzbek Podcast and Uzbekistan Unlocked, and hope we will see you guys next time. Thanks
everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you.
And thanks team behind the camera.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe. That's probably the most important thing.
If you subscribe, that means we're more successful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.